As I say, this comes at a really interesting, unparalleled time in our history, and I think we've got a very sound guide with Pope Francis at the moment. He invited the church early in the pandemic to reflect and work together as followers of Jesus to construct a better world out of this pandemic, a world full of hope for future generations. I think anyone who's read his work, I have people recommending his book Letters Stream at me all the time, which I still haven't read, but you know, there's a tremendous amount of good stuff that he's coming out with. He's got this phrase that this is quite an old turn of phrase of his, but the church is a field hospital after battle, and I think that's going to be definitely something that is going to be a kind of mood really around in the church. You know, the society is going to be quite hurt and fragmented, and it's going to be really for the church to help people out in this situation. And then let us welcome this time of trial as an opportunity to prepare for the future for all without discarding anyone. You know, this is an opportunity to rethink the way society works. You know, we've got a pretty blank slate at the moment, and we have a chance really, like never before, to start again, start afresh. So this opportunity here now is for any parish in the diocese, of which there are many, and good to see so many of you here today. And as you know, Bishop Patrick has been kind of inviting all of us into a journey of encounter, discipleship, missionary discipleship, a kind of process, a kind of way forward, a formative experience in our faith, where we meet Christ, respond in discipleship, and then from that gain confidence for mission in the community. And if anyone's familiar with the pastoral cycle as it used to be known, actually it's very similar to that. You know, we see what's going on in the world, and you all know just the kind of impact the pandemic has had, for instance, on your neighbourhood and your relatives and on yourself. So mission is all about seeing that, judging it in the light of the gospel, not in the sense of, you know, in a bad sense, but in the sense that the prophets judged things. Actually, you know, the people who stood back from society and saw what was really going on, saw the real nature of the trials that people were going through, and from that, gaining confidence for mission, from the inspiration of the gospel that we find. So Here Now Us comes in 3 parts, and you'll probably remember this from the newsletter and the grapevine, this is where you picked up the invitation for tonight from. Firstly, the course, what is called here the pre-workshop resources, the Word and the Common Good, 6 sessions. Secondly, a workshop which is best to happen on a Saturday when most people are free, and then thirdly, the kind of what way we go from there, because this is the whole point of this really is not to be just a fashion plan. To start a journey, it starts a pilgrimage into the future that awaits us. And I'm going to suggest that we take these in reverse order. So we'll talk about the destination first, and then we'll come back to the Word and the Common Good. A little bit more from Pope Francis. So he says the essential vocation and mission of us, the lay faithful, is to strive for earthly realities and all human activity be transformed by the gospel. So this is really where we want to get to. That's a very high calling. That's what we're invited to do. But we've all got a different way of doing it. We all paint a different colour, if you like. We've all got different callings and situations, charisms and such. So that's something that this whole process can actually help us discover. We come as who we are, and God makes use of who we are. He says in Evangelii Gaudium, Joy of the Gospel, he talks about the parish being a community of community, the sanctuary where the thirsty come to drink, and a centre of constant missionary outreach. So it's somewhere to belong, but it's somewhere to invite other people into belonging, and somewhere to inject belonging into society at large. Yeah, he's a great proponent of friendship and belonging. And this whole process is part of the emergence of Caritas in the diocese. So we're working with Caritas Social Action Network. It's good to see Jed here tonight from there. And colleagues in other dioceses around the country who also already have Caritas in the diocese. And this is going to be part of our emergence as a diocese as part of the worldwide network of outreach mission service to the wider world, just as CAFOD does overseas, Caritas does at home. So that's the kind of destination, okay? And to get us there, the main event is this thing on a Saturday, ideally on a Saturday, a face-to-face workshop. And this is, of course, this is the thing that we are most uncertain about, isn't it? You know, exactly when this can happen. We'll just have to keep faith with this idea and keep an eye on what the conditions are as they unfold. But at some point, the hope is that there'll be a chance for us to get together, for our parishes to regroup and remember who we are, remember who each other is, map our area, map what the needs are, who is meeting those needs, how we can work with friends in other churches, for instance. This question about who I am and what I bring, what gifts I bring, what common good thinking is. Common good thinking is the term here for Catholic social teaching, which is entirely about building the common good in society at large. Not just the thinking, but the practice, putting it into practice. And putting it all together. So this is an invitation. This is where it all comes together, this process that we will have done, this preparation for over the 6 weeks of the course, the study course. But you don't have to go onto this stage. I hope you do. But you know, I think we'll have fun just doing the course, and I hope you'll join us for that. You and your fellow parishioners. A little bit more about the workshop. What will need to be in place? Well, actually, we'll need to be ready to go. You know, we're raring to go, have an appetite for a revival in the life of the parish. The time will be right, and we'll sense that. And I think that time will come. I think there will be a moment when finally we feel we've got through the worst. Yes, we're still going to have to stay 2 meters apart from each other, but actually we can meet safely in a meeting room as long as we clean the chairs afterwards. And you know, and we can start doing things. But again, all of this has got to be quite carefully sensed. It requires about anything between 12 to 20 participants. Obviously, the parish priest needs to be involved as well. And what we really need actually is someone to act as a local host, someone to be the person who is the person I can deal with, for one thing, from the diocese. But who can sort of pull people together and actually push the publicity, for instance, and get 20 people together if that's what we muster. Ideally, actually, this is best shared out with a team of people, and I'm sure you can think of people to turn to. Because of the grant, we can offer this free of charge to 5 parishes or groups of parishes, and in fact, probably we'll be able to do that further, but for many more as well. But certainly we've got funding for 5. So there's this isn't kind of hard sell, but you know you'll get it for free if you're in the first 5. Okay. So that's the Saturday workshop. That's the kind of destination for those who want to and can and are ready for it, of the Word and the Common Good course, which we'll come on to now. So this is, as I say, it's 6 sessions, and actually there's 45 minutes in each session, which isn't very long. And in fact, what we'll do, I think, is because there's so much to kind of take on board about what's happening at the moment and how we recover from this pandemic and the kind of needs that are going to be around in the world about us, that we can easily make use of maybe another half hour in each session for getting a sense of what the needs are that our parish and we ourselves as Christians need to sort of engage with. So each session focuses on some scripture, and what they've done, what Together for Common Good done, is it's really interesting. It's about Catholic social teaching. It's about what they call common good thinking. The themes of Catholic social teaching run right through it, but actually the launch pad that the course uses is passages from Scripture. An interesting choice of them as well. So I think we'll go to some places that we maybe haven't been before. What I'm hoping, and what I'm planning, is that actually we'll all do this on the same evening. We'll all get together in a big group, I mean, I think it can be made to work, and we'll be able to split up then into groups for each parish. So maybe if there's 6 or 8 or 10 people from your parish that come along that want to take part in this, we'll all get together as a diocese, and then we can actually go into groups with our own parish. I'll need a bit of help with technology of that, but I'm sure I can twist a few arms. So as I say, it's founded on Scripture, it's nourished with Catholic social teaching, but also the reality around us. We'll be beginning to reflect, well, where are we now? We're looking at Monday evenings from the 17th of May, shortly after Pentecost, extending just the basic course with some extra topical material for a conversation that's both big and across the diocese, but also small at the same time. We'll be here with our own fellow parishioners. It's not about sitting in serried ranks, listening to a lecturer, listening to a talk. It's about breaking open the Scriptures together and listening to each other, listening for God's words in each other's reflections about what the Word is saying to us. It'll leave us with possibly as many questions as it answers, and I think that's always a fertile way to read Scripture. So it's about open conversations. It'll be listening for what building the common good means in the different societies, different circumstances that we live in, and the different experiences that everybody's going to bring, and perhaps the voices that aren't actually represented in groups we'll be listening to as well. And the basic outline, I mean, I'll send you a link actually afterwards where you can get all of this. You can download the actual study guide for yourself if you really want to. But the basic outline is possibly something, if you've been to one of these things before, it's quite familiar. Welcome and prayer, introduction, and then focusing on the Bible passage that we'll be looking at, and some silence for reflection. Interesting that they use the examen as well. Sort of a method of Ignatian prayer from Ignatius of Loyola. But the bulk of the time is reflecting on what that Scripture and that principle of Catholic social teaching means for us now in this world. And this is something that you won't get anywhere else. I don't think there's anybody any other way at the moment that in your parish you'll have this kind of opportunity to reflect on and learn what Catholic social teaching might mean for you. But of course, we have to acknowledge this is where we are. We are currently still in lockdown, still got some way to go, and it's very difficult to know what kind of picture we're going to paint, isn't it, from here on. A number of you have been involved with me in conversations about where we go from here, and all sorts of things needs are being shared, and one of them is, for instance, that updating the parish census, knowing who's around. How do we get in touch with people? This has been quite a big problem for parishes during lockdown. Now, this might not sound particularly relevant to what we're talking about here, but actually, as those of you who were involved in this conversation will know, we all discovered that unless we know who's around us and who our fellow parishioners are and how we can contact them, we can't make common cause together. We can't be fellow missionary disciples. We can't bear witness together. We can't discern what God's will is for our parish and what kind of support we can give to each other's outreach. So actually remembering who we are with a new sort of parish database could actually be one of the most important things that some parishes do. And I know there's been quite some interest in this around the diocese. Listening to the needs around, yeah, I think we can be quite methodical about that, and there is a plan to do some mapping. This is a separate kind of project, but we're looking for people to be representatives for the parish, for each parish, who might be willing to do some mapping of needs in the parish that we can meet through Caritas as it emerges over the next few months. And map what's available as well, what sort of support public sector, voluntary sector organisations are doing to meet those social needs that are out there. Valuing each other's gifts, learning. It's not just about putting names on the database in the census. It's more than that. It's about cherishing each other's vocations and gifts, and actually knowing what the assets are that we have. The people sat in the pews next to us, what they can bring, what they are passionate about, what between us we can actually make happen. And this, I think, particularly is what Here Now Us can do: inspire us with the gospel and Catholic social teaching.